Pope Urban VI. Pope Urban VI, born Bartolomeo Prignano in Naples around 1318, rose to the papacy in 1378 during one of the most volatile eras in church history. His election unexpectedly ignited the Western Schism, a crisis in which multiple claimants, at first two and later three, asserted themselves as the legitimate pope. Initially chosen as a compromise candidate, Urban quickly alienated the cardinals who supported him. His fiery temper, authoritarian demeanor, and unpredictable outbursts made him difficult to work with. Many of his own clergy began to conspire against him, seeking to replace him with a more agreeable figure. In response, Urban ordered the arrest and execution of several plotters, showing no mercy. Chroniclers recorded a chilling detail that he complained the tortured cardinals did not scream loudly enough. His actions deepened divisions within the Catholic Church, eroding its unity and credibility. The Western Schism he helped fuel dragged on for decades, spreading confusion across Christendom. Rival popes, based in Avignon and later Pisa, claimed equal legitimacy, further damaging the institution's moral authority. Urban's aggressive tactics ensured his reign would be remembered more for turmoil than spiritual guidance. His inability to compromise or seek reconciliation alienated allies as well as enemies. Even in his later years, he remained suspicious and unyielding, refusing to moderate his harsh style. The fractured papacy he left behind took generations to mend. Today, historians view him as a cautionary example of how personal flaws can magnify institutional crises. Pope John XII. Pope John XII, born Ottaviano in Rome around 937, became pope at the astonishingly young age of about 18. His rapid rise was due more to family influence than to personal merit or piety. Almost immediately, his conduct scandalized both the clergy and the faithful. Accounts from the time describe the Lateran palace under his rule as a den of debauchery, filled with gambling, drunkenness, and sexual immorality. He openly engaged in affairs with multiple women, including married ones, showing blatant disregard for church teachings on celibacy. John also welcomed mistresses into the papal residence, further tarnishing the sacred office. His political dealings were reckless, shifting alliances without regard for loyalty or stability. These choices alienated powerful allies and invited betrayal from former supporters. His rule was so morally bankrupt that chroniclers accused him of invoking pagan gods and toasting to the devil. Such reports, whether exaggerated or not, painted him as both impious and corrupt. In 963, Holy Roman Emperor Otto I convened a council that deposed him, citing his scandalous behavior and neglect of duty. John managed to return to power briefly, but his reputation never recovered. His life ended as dramatically as he had lived, allegedly suffering a fatal stroke while in bed with another man's wife. This sordid death cemented his image as one of the most immoral popes in history. His reign left the Church's moral credibility deeply damaged and provided fuel for future critics of the papacy. Pope Stephen VI. Pope Stephen VI, whose early life details remain largely unknown, served from May 896 to August 897. He is infamous for the bizarre cadaver synod, in which he put his deceased predecessor, Pope Formosus, on trial. Stephen had Formosus' corpse exhumed, dressed in papal garments, and seated on a throne to face charges. A deacon was assigned to speak on behalf of the corpse during the proceedings. Unsurprisingly, the verdict was guilty, and the body was stripped of its vestments. Stephen then ordered the corpse's fingers, used for blessings, cut off, and the remains thrown into the Tiber River. This macabre event horrified Rome and made Stephen deeply unpopular. Political instability followed, with his enemies seeking revenge. He was eventually imprisoned and strangled to death. The Cadaver Synod remains one of the most grotesque episodes in papal history. Stephen's actions have made him an enduring symbol of the extremes of church politics gone wrong. Pope Benedict IX. Pope Benedict IX, born Theophylactus around 1012 in Rome, had one of the most notorious careers in papal history. He became pope 3 separate times, a testament to the chaos of the era. His first reign began in 1032, but his violent and immoral behavior led to a revolt that forced him out. Remarkably, he returned for a second reign, during which he sold the papacy to his godfather, who became Pope Gregory VI. This unprecedented act of treating the papacy as personal property outraged many. Benedict later returned for a third term, reclaiming power through force. His leadership was marred by accusations of murder, theft, and sexual immorality. Chroniclers described him as a demon from hell due to his conduct. German forces eventually expelled him for good. His repeated returns to power revealed deep corruption within the Church's political system. Few popes have matched his combination of persistence and infamy. Pope Alexander VI. Pope Alexander VI, born Rodrigo Borgia in 1431 near Valencia, Spain, is one of the most infamous figures in papal history. His rise to the papacy in 1492 was allegedly secured through bribery of the electors. Once in power, he openly engaged in nepotism, placing numerous relatives in influential church positions. Alexander is also accused of orchestrating the deaths of rival cardinals to seize their wealth and property. He fathered multiple children with his mistresses, a scandal for a celibate office. Despite his moral failings, he was a skilled political operator, navigating the volatile Italian Renaissance power struggles. His family name became synonymous with corruption and intrigue. Alexander's rule was marked by lavish spending and political maneuvering. His actions deepened public perception of the church as morally compromised. The notoriety of his papacy has been immortalized in literature, drama, and television. He remains a defining example of Renaissance-era corruption in the church. Pope Sergius III. Pope Sergius III, who reigned from 904 to 911, is remembered for his ruthless consolidation of power. He came to the papacy during a time when multiple claimants vied for the throne. Declaring his rivals as anti-popes, Sergius reportedly had at least one of them killed to secure his position. His personal life was equally controversial, with chroniclers alleging an affair with the influential Roman noblewoman Marozia. This liaison is said to have produced a son, Pope John XI, further entangling the papacy in scandal. Sergius's reign was part of what historians call the Saculum Obscurum, or Dark Age, of the papacy. During this period, noble families wielded enormous influence over church leadership. His alliances were forged through both political calculation and personal relationships. While he maintained his position for 7 years, his legacy was one of moral compromise. His reign underscored the intertwining of secular and spiritual corruption. Pope Leo X. Pope Leo X, born Giovanni de' Medici in 1475, was a member of the powerful Florentine Medici family. He assumed the papacy in 1513 and embraced a life of grandeur. Leo was a great patron of the arts, funding projects like St. Peter's Basilica and supporting Renaissance artists. However, his lavish spending pushed the church into serious financial trouble. To raise funds, he expanded the sale of indulgences, where believers could pay to reduce punishment for sins. This practice drew sharp criticism from reformers like Martin Luther. Luther's 95 Theses directly challenged Leo's policies and sparked the Protestant Reformation. Leo underestimated the movement's impact, dismissing it as a minor dispute. His reign thus unintentionally set the stage for one of the greatest schisms in Christian history. While celebrated for his cultural contributions, his financial and doctrinal decisions proved disastrous. His papacy became a cautionary tale of misplaced priorities. Pope Boniface VIII. Pope Boniface VIII, born Benedetto Caetani around 1235 in Rome, ruled from 1294 to 1303 with a famously uncompromising style. He clashed fiercely with secular rulers, most notably King Philip IV of France. Boniface asserted that the Pope held supreme authority over all Christian kings and princes. In 1302, he issued a papal bull declaring this absolute power, angering monarchs across Europe. His feud with Philip escalated when the king's forces captured and humiliated him. Though released, Boniface died shortly after, possibly due to the stress of the ordeal. He also feuded with the poet Dante Alighieri, who placed him in the 8th circle of hell in The Divine Comedy. Boniface's rigid policies alienated allies and foes alike. His papacy reflected the peak of medieval papal power, but also its vulnerabilities. His downfall highlighted the limits of papal authority in the face of rising nation-states. If you enjoyed this video, you won't want to miss our next deep dive: 10 most dangerous religious leaders in history. From ruthless cult masterminds to fanatical zealots who shook entire nations, this list will reveal the dark side of faith gone wrong. We'll uncover how these figures rose to power, the fear they inspired, and the devastation they left behind. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss this shocking countdown.